Hi, this is Miss Holly from Olympian High School. We're going to use the Traditions and Encounters textbook, chapter 20, to learn about Western Europe during the High Middle Ages. We've already learned about the Atlantic and Baltic expansion colonization, and now we're going to look at the reconquest of Sicily and Spain. Reconquest, because they're reconquering it. It used to belong to the Christian part of the world, Christendom, and they're going to bring it back into that fold from when it was captured by the Muslims during the expansion of the Dar al-Islam. Okay, so let's talk about that. Oh, before we move on, I suppose you all should know, just in case you don't know, that the Iberian Peninsula is what we call the peninsula on which the modern-day states of like Portugal and Spain are located. So if we're looking at a map, I wanted to show you guys about Italy, but I might as well take a moment to show you about the Iberian Peninsula. So this is the Iberian Peninsula. So if you don't know your peninsulas, this is the Iberian Peninsula, and this is the Apennine Peninsula, and this is the Balkan Peninsula. So a peninsula is just a piece of land that's surrounded on 3 sides by water. If it was surrounded on all sides by water, 4 sides, it would be an island. And also, since we're on this topic of geography, you should know that this area that looks like a boot is what we now call Italy. Now, today Italy is one state, but of course back then it was a bunch of city-states and all kinds of different states, like principalities and other things. Also, you should know about these islands. This is the island of Sicily. It's really important. You don't need to worry about Sardinia or Corsica, but okay, you've got the island of Sicily. So think of that as the island that the boot, this looks like a boot, the boot is kicking. I also want you to know about Normandy, or the Normans. These are basically descendants of the Scandinavian seafarers. Whoa, the Vikings that I had mentioned to you earlier settle in northern France. And these Norman adventurers are really important because they're going to be the ones that are partly doing these reconquests. So we need to know about where Normandy is in France and know that they come from Scandinavia here. Okay, so now that we know our geography, let's jump back in because I only have 5 minutes. So you should know about the reconquest of Sicily, which happens pretty quickly. It's reconquered from the Muslims, and it's reconquered by Norman warriors who are trying to bring it back into the Christian fold. So the 2 Norman adventurers that you need to know about are Robert Guiscard and his brother Roger. So you have Robert and Roger. So Robert is going to carve out or create a state for himself in southern Italy, which at the time is not part of Christendom. It's been conquered by the Muslims. And then you see his brother Roger reconquer Sicily after about 20 years of fighting. Now, you might wonder, does that mean that Islam completely disappears from these areas? And that's not the case. It continues for a while. People are secretly practicing Islam. And another thing that you should know about the Muslims that exist in Sicily is that they are going to help introduce or reintroduce Christians to a scholar that they had forgotten about or sort of ignored during the early Middle Ages, which was Aristotle. And because of that, Christians, after being introduced to the teachings of Aristotle as recorded by the Muslims, are going to develop a type of Christian theology called scholasticism. So this represents a mixing or syncretism between Muslim learning and Christian learning that result in something new, which is scholasticism. It's in here somewhere, scholastic philosophers here. Okay, so that's one change that happens culturally. Now, when it comes to Spain, that reconquest takes a lot longer, and this is called the Reconquista, the reconquest of Spain. And it starts off from what your book calls a toehold, which is like a foothold, a small area that Christians controlled after Muslims took over all of this area between the 800s, 700s to the 1000s, basically. So it starts off with this process of the kingdoms that were there that were Christian, the small Christian state of Catalonia, starts attacking the Muslims, and then you have other Christian forces campaigning south. Eventually, they're going to take over all of this area. The only kingdom that's going to survive that's Muslim is the Kingdom of Granada, and that survives all the way up until 1492, when finally all of Spain is reconquered on behalf of the Christians and is brought back or reintegrated into Christendom, and that completes the Reconquista. Okay, obviously there are economic reasons for this reconquest, gaining lands. There are also really zealous Christians that see Islam as an affront to Christianity, that want to encourage people to go and spread Christianity to these lands. You have Dominican friars playing a really important role in Spain. And also intellectually, we have effects. Of course, you have the spread of the teachings of Aristotle. And when trying to spread Christianity to these areas that used to be Muslim, Christian preachers often used Aristotle's teachings because amongst Muslims, the thoughts of Aristotle were highly respected, regarded. So if they tried to harmonize Christian teachings with Aristotle's teachings, then that would appeal to Muslims and cause them to convert to Christianity.